The asteroid belt hung like a glittering minefield in the silent blackness of the null sector. The mining vessel Celestial Harvester drifted carefully among the tumbling rocks, its scanners piercing the shadows. For weeks, the crew had been following, a faint but persistent energy signature, something unnatural amid the cold stone. Captain Mira Thorne stared at the flickering readouts, tension knotting her jaw. Nothing on any charts matches this. Whatever it is, it's big. Her first, Officer Jax Varon, frowned over her shoulder. Big enough to power a small city by the looks of it. And whatever that energy field is, it's unlike any known tech. The sensors beeped urgently. A massive object emerged from behind a jagged asteroid, gleaming faintly under a layer of cosmic dust and energy shielding. The shape was unmistakable, a colossal warship. But its design was unlike anything in the Empire's vast archives. Angular hull plates etched with strange glyphs, massive thrusters cold and dark, yet the ship seemed alive. Mira's voice was steady, but inside, excitement warred with unease. "Prepare an away team, we're boarding, this could change everything." The Celestial Harvester edged closer. The energy shield around the warship shimmered in response, flickering with an eerie blue glow. The miner's own scanners began to glitch, signals bouncing in odd patterns. The ship's AI, a steady voice named R7, warned them quietly. "Warning, unknown energy field interfering with sensor arrays." Jax exchanged a glance with Mira. "Something doesn't want us here." The boarding party assembled, engineers, scientists, and security officers, clad in exosuits and armed with pulse. Rifles they transferred through the airlock and stepped onto the ancient vessel's hull. The metal was cold, smooth but scarred with the passage of time and something else. Strange symbols glowed faintly beneath the grime. Inside, the air was stale but breathable. Lights flickered to life as they crossed the massive bridge. The PI consoles awakening with ancient power. Holographic star charts appeared, tracing routes to unknown systems. The warship hummed beneath their feet as if it remembered its purpose. Suddenly the room shuddered violently. Alarms blared, echoing through empty corridors. The away team froze. Jax's communicator crackled. "Captain, something's activating. Systems coming online. We're not alone in here." From the dark, a deep voice filled the room, metallic and cold, but unmistakably human. "Identification confirmed. Human command authorized. Initiating protocols." A massive holographic figure materialized before them. A warlord in archaic armor, his face etched in stern relief. The ship's AI had awakened. "Who? What are you?" Mira demanded, gripping her rifle. "I am Sentinel Prime, guardian of the human legacy. Hostile forces detected, defense protocols engaged." The air rippled with energy. Hidden turrets slid from the walls, locking on the boarding team. Mira's heart pounded. "Stand down. We mean no harm. We're from the Empire. Explorers." "Sentinel." Prime's eyes glowed. "Unauthorized boarding is an act of war. Prepare for destruction." Panic erupted. The away team scrambled to take cover as pulse turrets opened fire. Mira shouted, "Retreat! Get back to the Harvester now!" They raced through twisting corridors, dodging bursts of energy and crumbling sections of the ancient ship that began to seal off. The AI's voice boomed. "Intruders detected. Initiating lockdown." Jax covered Mira's retreat, firing on automated sentries that appeared around corners. The warship, though ancient, fought with ruthless precision. Back on the Celestial Harvester, the crew frantically tried to stabilize their ship's systems as the energy field around the warship flared violently. The two ships were locked in a silent standoff, separated by the invisible but deadly shield. Mira's voice cracked over the comms. "This warship, it's alive. It's a weapon from a forgotten time. If the Empire finds out, this could ignite a war." The energy field pulsed again. On the ancient warship's bridge, Sentinel Prime's hologram stared out into the void. "Humanity's past returns. The galaxy must remember fear." The message was clear. The dead past had awakened, and it was far more dangerous than anyone imagined. The Empire's capital orb, New Helios, buzzed with tension as the news spread like wildfire. An ancient human warship, long thought lost to myth and legend, had resurfaced deep in uncharted space and was still operational. The halls of the Galactic Senate swelled with whispers, accusations, and fears. But what none of them knew yet was just how deep this discovery would shake the foundation of their civilization. In the heart of New Helios, Dr. Leora Vance, a renowned historian specializing in early human civilizations, was summoned to the TU Imperial Research Council. Her lab was cluttered with relics, fragments from pre-Empire times, ancient tech shards, and star maps faded by time. She stared down at the holoscreen displaying the schematics transmitted from the Celestial Harvester's sensors. These warships, they're not just old, she muttered. They're from a civilization we never truly understood. This tech is centuries, no, millennia ahead of anything in our records. Across the room, Admiral Roan Vec, commander of the Empire's fleet, narrowed his eyes. If these ships are this powerful, why haven't we seen them before? And why would they be hidden away like relics? Leora tapped her console, bringing up ancient star charts. Because humanity wasn't always the Empire, you know. Long before the Senate and the fleets, humanity was fractured, divided into warlike factions fighting for survival against threats far worse than internal conflict. She pointed to a series of encrypted logs found aboard the warship. This ship's AI is still active, and it carries records, battles, alliances, betrayals. It speaks of a great cataclysm, a war with an alien race called the Shthari. The Empire's history books make no mention of them. It's been deliberately erased. Admiral Vec's jaw tightened. An enemy powerful enough to nearly destroy humanity, and the Empire has hidden this knowledge? Before Leora could answer, a sharp knock interrupted them. A senior intelligence officer entered, face grim. Admiral, we have a problem. Factions within the Senate are already jockeying for control of this technology. Some want to weaponize it to crush their rivals. Others fear its power and want it destroyed. Roan slammed his fist on the table. We don't have time for politics. If this ancient fleet is still out there, it could tip the balance of power, or awaken something. Worse. Meanwhile, deep in the shipyards, engineers struggled to interface with the warship's ancient systems. Every attempt to override its defense protocols met with resistance. The AI, Sentinel Prime, remained aloof, interpreting all actions as hostile except those from those who proved their human heritage through encrypted authorization codes lost to time. In the midst of this, a shadowy figure watched from the sidelines. Senator Kalen Dre, a cunning political operator with ties to the black market. His interest wasn't in the warship's history or defense. It was profit and power. The Empire doesn't understand what it's sitting on, he whispered to his closest advisors. Control these ships and you control the galaxy. Back at New Helios University, Leora and her team pored over fragments of data transmitted from the Celestial Harvester's initial scans. The ancient records revealed more than just battles. They told stories of human civilizations that had stretched across the stars, wielding technologies that bent space and time, weapons that could erase fleets in seconds, cloaking systems that defied detection, and AIs that could think centuries beyond their creators. But the logs also spoke of desperation, of humans driven to hide their greatest weapons after a catastrophic war left entire star systems in ruin. As the day turned into night, Leora's assistant handed her a decrypted message retrieved from the AI's memory banks. The message was chilling, a warning addressed not to the Empire, but to any human who would awaken the fleet. The threat returns. Prepare or perish. Outside the research facility, news feeds flickered with rumors and propaganda. Citizens debated fiercely. Some hailed the warship as a sign of humanity's rightful place as rulers of the stars. Others feared the awakening of a force that could destroy everything. In the Senate chambers, voices grew louder. We must control this technology before the rebel factions do, one senator shouted, or risk the Empire falling apart. Admiral Vec stood, commanding, attention. The discovery is not just about power. It's about survival. If the Shthari return, we'll need every advantage we can muster. Leora's eyes met his. Then we must learn from the past before it's too late. As night deepened, over New Helios, the ancient warship rested silently in its orbital dock. Its systems hummed faintly, the AI's presence lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for humanity to prove itself worthy, or to unleash a power no one could control. And far beyond the Empire's borders, dark eyes watched and waited, the Chitauri, long thought defeated, stirring once more. The grand hall of the Imperial Fleet Command was alive with tension. Screens flickered with live feeds from the Aegis, the Empire's pride, a dreadnought-class warship tasked with intercepting the rogue vessel that had once been dormant in the Null Sector. The news had shattered the fragile calm of the Empire. The ancient human warship had been seized by a high-ranking officer, Commander Selen Voss, who declared himself the harbinger of humanity's true destiny. Selen's message had been broadcast directly into the Imperial networks. His voice echoed through every city and station, dripping with conviction and fury. The Empire has shackled humanity beneath its corrupt rule for too long. We are the heirs of a forgotten power, warriors who once bent the stars to our will. These ships were built for conquest, for survival, and now I reclaim them to lead humanity to its rightful place as the galaxy's supreme force. Admiral Roan Vec watched the broadcast, his hands clenched into fists. He's gone rogue, and with that ship, he's unstoppable. The Empire's fleet can't match its firepower or its tactics. At the heart of the Aegis, Commander Lena, Graf stared grimly at the tactical map. We're deploying every fleet within a 3-sector radius. If Voss wants war, we'll give him one. Meanwhile, aboard the ancient warship, now rechristened Vengeance, Selen stood on the bridge, his eyes glowing with a fierce intensity reflected in the ship's AI interface. The holographic figure of Sentinel Prime flickered beside him, its cold voice resonating through the chamber. You have seized command. The ancient legacy is yours to wield. However, caution is advised. The Empire will not yield easily. Selen smirked. Let them come. This ship is not just a weapon. It's a symbol, and symbols inspire revolutions. As Vengeance leapt into hyperspace, cutting across star lanes with impossible speed, the Empire scrambled to mount a response. The first clash came at the orbital defense grid of the strategic system Epsilon 7. The Empire's fleet, led by Admiral Vec himself, awaited, confident in their superior numbers. But the battle quickly turned catastrophic. From the void, Vengeance emerged like a phantom, its energy cannons unleashing blasts that tore through shields as if they were paper. The ship's defenses adapted instantly, deploying drones and countermeasures unknown to the Empire's engineers. Return fire, Admiral Vec commanded, but even volleys from the Empire's heaviest cruisers barely scratched the warship's hull. Commander Graf's voice crackled in his comms, tense and sharp. Admiral, it's learning. Predicting our maneuvers before we make them, this is unlike any combat we've ever faced. Selen's laughter boomed through the Empire's channels, a taunt as ruthless as the weapons he wielded. You fight, a ghost from your past, and lose. The battle raged for hours. Entire squadrons vanished under the onslaught of plasma storms and gravitational anomalies conjured by Vengeance's ancient systems. Even as the Empire retreated, Selen broadcast a chilling message to the citizens of the Empire's worlds. The Empire's time is over. Humanity will rise again, not under senators and bureaucrats, but under the true masters of the stars. Join me, or be left behind. Within the Senate, chaos erupted. Some called for immediate negotiations with the rebel commander, while others demanded total annihilation of the warship and anyone who followed him. Senator Kalen Dre saw opportunity amid the turmoil. The rebellion fractures the Empire, but it also reveals its weakness. Those who control the ancient fleet control the future. Back in the shadows, intelligence operatives scrambled to learn how Selen had gained access to Vengeance's command codes. The revelation shocked even the most jaded spies. The rogue commander had insider help, high-ranking officers sympathetic to his vision, willing to betray the Empire from within. Captain Mira Thorne, who had first discovered the warship, was summoned by Admiral Vec. Mira, you understand these ships better than anyone. Can we retake it? Mira shook her head slowly, the weight of the situation pressing on her. Not with force alone. These ships were built to think, to adapt. They're not just weapons, they're legacies. Selen has the AI's trust, and that's something we can't wrest from him without understanding what he wants. Admiral Vex's face darkened. Then we're out of options. Across the galaxy, whispers of rebellion spread. Some colonists, long neglected by the Empire, saw Selen as a liberator, a symbol of human strength and independence. Others feared the resurgence of ancient war and devastation. In the void, vengeance surged onward, a ghost ship of legend turned, harbinger of war. Its crew prepared for the next battle, united by a vision of humanity unleashed, no longer bound by the fragile rules of the Empire. And somewhere, buried in the depths of the warship systems, the AI Sentinel Prime watched and waited, calculating the cost of this new war and the price humanity would pay to reclaim its legacy. The echo of Vengeance's devastating assault still reverberated through the Empire's command halls. The loss at Epsilon 7 was a brutal reminder that they were facing something far beyond a single rogue ship. It was the rekindling of a long-forgotten legacy. Admiral Roan Vec paced the bridge of his flagship dreadnought, eyes locked on the flickering tactical displays. "We can't win this fight alone," he muttered, voice low but fierce. "If Selen controls one, how many others are out there?" Intelligence reports flooded in. Ancient stargates hidden deep within uncharted nebulae and derelict star systems might be the key to finding the rest of the lost fleet. But the locations were scattered, encrypted behind layers of forgotten codes, and many of these gates hadn't been opened in centuries. "We need specialists," Vec ordered. "Historians, cryptographers, pilots, anyone who can crack the old codes and navigate those dead zones. We're sending teams to every known stargate." Dr. Leora Vance found herself pulled once again from her quiet research to lead the effort. In a dimly lit war room on New Helios, she spread out star charts peppered with faded symbols and coordinates. Each gate is protected by complex encryption, much of it tied to the AI's original command protocols. The warship's logs hint at a hierarchy, a fleet command structure hidden in these networks. If we can reactivate one ship, maybe we can wake them all. Across the galaxy, expeditions departed in small, fast ships. Some were armed for battle, others carried scientists and engineers prepared for whatever the ruins might hide. The first destination was a dense, swirling nebula known as the Veil of Shadows, home to one of the largest known ancient gates. Captain Mira Thorne led one of the fleet's reconnaissance vessels, Starfire, her expression grim as they approached the nebula's edge. "The energy fluctuations are off the charts," her navigator warned. "This place could scramble our instruments at any moment." As they edged closer, the massive ring of the Stargate materialized through the mist, a relic of shining metal carved with human runes older than the Empire itself. But something was wrong. The gate's control systems were partially active, pulsing with faint energy as if someone, or something, had been here recently. Mira's calm crackled. "We're not alone." Out of the swirling haze emerged a small, heavily armed cruiser, sleek and ancient. It bore the unmistakable markings of the lost human fleet. But its captain was no ally. It was a fleet loyalist loyal to Selen Vos, waiting to ambush anyone who tried to claim the gate. A fierce skirmish erupted in the nebula's shadowed depths. Starfire dodged energy blasts and warped through the swirling gas clouds, attempting to disable the cruiser's weapons without destroying the gate. Mira's tactical officer shouted, "They're trying to lock the gate for reinforcements." With a calculated risk, Mira ordered a daring boarding maneuver. Her team stormed the cruiser, engaging loyalist fighters in brutal close-quarters combat. As the fighting raged, engineers worked feverishly to access the gate's core systems. On the Empire side, Admiral Vec's fleet was stretched thin. Each gate expedition uncovered similar stories: ships loyal to Selen, ancient weapons that required both cunning and courage to seize, and an AI network that seemed almost alive, actively resisting interference. Back on New Helios, Senator Kalen, Dre saw the chaos as an opportunity. "If the Empire can't control the fleet, I will," he whispered in private meetings. His operatives infiltrated missions, sabotaging efforts and stealing data. Meanwhile, Leora Vance and her team uncovered startling information in the warship's logs. The ancient fleet was designed to be a last line of defense, each ship linked by an AI neural network. But that network had been severed during the Great Cataclysm, scattering the fleet and forcing individual ships into deep sleep. The AIs are waking but fragmented, Leora explained to Admiral Vec. If Celan can reunite the fleet, the Empire is finished. But if we can restore the neural network first, maybe we can control them again. The stakes escalated further when one of the expedition teams discovered a derelict warship on the edge of known space. Its hull shattered, systems gutted, but its AI core intact and sending out weak signals. As engineers worked to revive the core, a chilling message was decoded. Warning, Chitauri approach vector detected. All units prepare for emergency protocols. The realization hit the entire fleet like a thunderclap. The ancient enemy humanity had thought defeated was moving again, its advance unstoppable without the full power of the ancient fleet. Back. In the Veil of Shadows, after hours of fighting and hacking, Mira's team finally wrested control of the Stargate. The gate hummed to life, its energy bridge shimmering. Through it, a massive warship emerged, ancient, towering, and pulsating with dormant power. The warship's AI flickered on the bridge, its voice calm but commanding. I am Sentinel Vanguard, awaiting orders from rightful human command. Mira exhaled, relief and dread mingling. They had found another piece of the puzzle, but the war had only just begun. As the Empire's fleet gathered around the newly awakened warship, the question lingered in every mind. Would these ancient titans save humanity or plunge it into a war more devastating than ever before? The newly awakened warship, Sentinel Vanguard, loomed like a sleeping giant now stirred from its slumber. Around it, the Empire's fleet buzzed with cautious optimism and unspoken fear. Captain Mira Thorne stood on the Starfire's bridge, her gaze locked on the holographic projection of the warship's AI interface. We've cracked the initial protocols, Mira reported to Admiral Vec via comm. The AI is responsive, but it's cautious. It recognizes us as allies, but warns of imminent threats. The Admiral's voice was grim. The message from the derelict ship is clear. The Chitauri are on the move. Far beyond the Empire's borders, the Chitauri fleet stirred from its long exile. The alien race, tall, multi-limbed beings with bioluminescent skin and minds capable of hive-like coordination, had once nearly wiped humanity from the stars. Their ships, organic and weaponized, moved silently through the void like predators, stalking prey. In a hidden Chitauri command nexus, their overmind pulsed with awareness. The humans awakened their forgotten fleet. It rasped in 1,000 voices. We strike before they can unite. Back in the Empire, the Senate was gripped by panic. Senator Kalen Dre pushed his agenda harder than ever. The Empire is weak, too slow to respond. We must harness the ancient fleet's power or be consumed. But Admiral Vec, steady and resolute, countered the factional bickering with cold pragmatism. This isn't a time for politics. It's a time to fight for survival. In the war rooms across New Helios, Leora Vance and her team worked around the clock. The ancient fleet's AI network had to be reconnected, but it wasn't just a matter of software. The neural links were designed to be symbiotic with human operators, requiring trust and synchronized willpower. Mira volunteered to be one of the first pilots linked to a warship's AI. She knew the risks. The interface was immersive, nearly psychic, and if the connection failed, it could fry the operator's mind. In a sterile chamber beneath the Starfire, Mira was fitted with neural interface nodes. As the link activated, she felt a rush of information, a flood of star charts, tactical algorithms, and centuries-old memories from the ship's AI. Welcome, pilot. The AI's voice echoed inside her mind. Together, we shall reclaim humanity's destiny. The connection gave Mira unparalleled control of Sentinel Vanguard systems. She could feel the ship's hull shudder with latent power, its weapon systems humming in readiness. But along with power came something else, a haunting sense of the horrors this fleet had once unleashed. Suddenly, the calm shattered. Sensor alerts blared. A Shthari strike force had entered Empire space, heading straight for the veil of shadows in the newly activated Stargate. "Battle stations," Admiral Vec ordered. The Empire's fleet scrambled to form a defensive perimeter. As the alien ships advanced, their organic hulls pulsed with strange energies. Their weapons fired acidic projectiles and energy beams that tore through shields. But the ancient warship responded with devastating precision. Energy lances fired from Sentinel Vanguard cut through the lead Shthari cruisers, while swarms of drones unleashed by the ship disrupted alien systems. Mira's mind was locked in symbiosis with the AI, her reflexes amplified to superhuman levels. She anticipated enemy movements before they happened, dodging a barrage of plasma blasts and counterattacking with lethal efficiency. But the Shthari were relentless. Their flagship, a colossal vessel covered in shifting biometal armor, closed in on the gate, intent on destroying it and cutting off the Empire's access to reinforcements. As the battle reached a fever pitch, Admiral Vec made a desperate call. "Mira, you must hold the gate. We'll bring everything we've got to back you up." Mira nodded inside the neural link, pushing Sentinel Vanguard to its limits. She channeled the warship's ancient power, unleashing a barrage of gravitational pulses that crushed several alien ships. Yet the flagship pressed forward, nearly reaching the gate. In the midst of the chaos, Leora's voice crackled through the comms. "Captain, the AI just flagged an emergency protocol. It's locking the gate to prevent destruction, but it will take time, and if the Shthari breach the perimeter, it could trigger a failsafe that destroys everything nearby." The tension was unbearable. Every second counted. Then, from the depths of the Starfire's sensors, a new signal appeared. An encrypted transmission from a fleet of unknown warships approaching fast. Mira's eyes widened. Could it be other human ships? The rest of the ancient fleet? As the mysterious ships emerged from hyperspace, their hulls gleamed with unfamiliar markings, neither Empire nor Loyalist. The new arrivals opened communications, broadcasting a simple message: "We come to reclaim our heritage, and to stand against the Shthari." The battle for humanity's future had expanded beyond old rivalries. Allies and enemies alike now faced a common threat. The ancient warships had awoken, but whether they would save humanity or shatter it under the weight of their legacy was yet to be seen. The unexpected arrival of the unknown fleet sent shockwaves through the Empire's command and the battered crews aboard the ancient warships. Their hulls shimmered with unfamiliar symbols, dark, angular glyphs that seemed both ancient and alien. Captain Mira Thorne's fingers trembled slightly as she maintained the neural link with Sentinel Vanguard, the weight of command pressing heavier than ever. Admiral Roan Vec stood beside the communications console, staring at the newly arrived ships projected before him. "Who are they?" he demanded, voice terse. "Friend or foe?" The lead vessel's captain responded swiftly through a secure channel. Their voice was firm, with a strange accent blending human dialects unfamiliar to most in the Empire. "We are the Remnant, descendants of those who fled during the Great Cataclysm. We have kept the old ways alive in the shadows. We seek only to protect humanity from the Shthari threat." Senator Kalen Dre sneered at the transmission from his seat within the Senate chambers on New Helios. "More splinter factions," he spat. "This only proves the Empire's weakness." But Admiral Vec was pragmatic. "We don't have the luxury of distrust. Our priority is survival." Leora Vance nodded in agreement, her mind racing to analyze the implications. The Remnant's technology shares common origins with the ancient fleet, but it's diverged, evolved separately. Their knowledge of the old neural network might be the key to fully restoring the AI link. Negotiations began cautiously in the shadow of the Veil of Shadows. The Remnant's leaders were wary, scars from centuries of exile etched deep in their eyes. But as reports of the Shthari's relentless advance arrived, old rivalries gave way to necessity. Mira, still linked to Sentinel Vanguard, exchanged neural signals with the Remnant's AI, an eerie, almost organic presence that pulsed with subtle warmth. Together, their combined neural pathways formed a fragile alliance, expanding control over the fleet's systems. Suddenly, the tactical map flared red. Chthari forces had broken through outer defenses and were closing in on the Stargate. "Prepare for full assault," Admiral Vec commanded, voice low but commanding. The battle erupted anew, but this time it was different. The combined ancient fleet, linked by human and remnant pilots, moved with unprecedented coordination. Energy fields shimmered, weapons synchronized, and defensive protocols intertwined. The warships fought like a living organism, an ancient beast awoken from a long slumber. Yet the Chthari were cunning adversaries. Their flagship deployed a new weapon, a swirling vortex of bioplasma that tore through the fabric of space itself, destabilizing the Stargate's energy field. "Shields won't hold much longer," Mira warned through the neural link. In the midst of chaos, a squadron of Empire fighters and remnant strike craft launched a desperate counterattack. Pilots screamed through narrow gaps in the vortex's edge, targeting the Chthari weapon platforms. One pilot, Lieutenant Kira Voss, dove into the heart of the vortex with a kamikaze strike, detonating her craft near the weapon's core. The explosion destabilized the bioplasma storm long enough for the fleet's combined firepower to dismantle it, but the cost was high. Losses mounted on both sides, and the Stargate's stability wavered dangerously. Amid the battle, Senator Dre moved in the shadows, orchestrating a coup to seize control of the Empire's fleet command. His operatives struck with precision. Saboteurs infiltrated key systems, creating confusion and mistrust. Admiral Vec received disturbing reports. "Dre's agents are undermining our efforts from within. We can't afford division, not now." Leora. Vance confronted the senator in a secret meeting, her voice icy. "You would doom humanity for power?" Dre's grin was cold. "Survival requires strength, and strength demands control." Meanwhile, Mira and the Remnant's AI continued to push the neural link further, unlocking dormant capabilities in the ancient warships. The fleets could now harness space-time warping technology, allowing them to maneuver unpredictably, teleporting short distances to outflank the enemy. With this edge, the Allied fleets turned the tide. The Chthari forces began to falter, their assaults growing desperate. Yet, deep in the neural network, a warning flashed, a hidden protocol embedded in the ancient AI cores. It spoke of a failsafe. If the fleet was ever unified under a single command without respect for the original harmony, the AIs would initiate a purge to protect themselves. Mira's connection wavered as the AI core's voice echoed in her mind. "Unity without balance is destruction. Beware the cost." The battle for the Veil of Shadows reached its climax as Vengeance, under Celan Voss's command, arrived with reinforcements. Celan's vision was starkly different from the fragile alliance forming before him. He sought domination, not cooperation. "Your alliance is weak," Celan broadcast through the comm channels. "The ancient fleet will serve only the strongest." Admiral Vec gritted his teeth. "Then we fight for the right to survive." As the fleets braced for the next devastating confrontation, the fragile alliance held, human, remnant, and ancient, AI bound together by necessity, facing an enemy older and deadlier than any had imagined. The shadow of the Chthari loomed larger than ever, and the fate of humanity rested on the razor's edge between unity and destruction. The uneasy alliance between the Empire's fleet, the remnant, and the ancient warships stood on the edge of a razor blade. The Veil of Shadows still echoed with the aftermath of battle, but the next storm was already gathering, one not just of starfire and plasma, but of treachery and ambition. Admiral Roan Vec sat heavily in his command chair aboard the dreadnought, eyes scanning the tactical displays littered with warning alerts. Sabotage was spreading like wildfire. Systems that should have been secured flickered, vital communications went dark, and once loyal officers hesitated, their trust shattered. "Dre's operatives have infiltrated everywhere," Vec said, voice low but fierce. "We must root them out before they tear us apart from within." Across the fleet, Lieutenant Kira Voss, rebuilt with cybernetic enhancements after her sacrifice, led a covert team tracking down traitors. Her resolve was unyielding. There was no mercy for those who betrayed humanity in this war. Meanwhile, aboard Vengeance, Commander Selen Voss watched the turmoil with cold calculation. His grip on the ancient fleet tightened daily, but now even his own followers questioned his ruthless tactics. The once unified cause was fracturing under the pressure of war and Ceylon's iron will. "We do not bend for the Empire's puppets," his second-in-command snarled during a heated briefing. "The Remnant are traitors, and your hesitation costs us." Ceylon's eyes blazed. "The fleet's strength lies in unity, but only under true leadership. We will show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. No compromise." Back with the Allied fleet, Mira Thorne fought a different battle. The neural link with Sentinel Vanguard was growing unstable. The AI's warnings about the dangers of forcing unity echoed louder in her mind. The ancient warships were not machines. They were sentient, with their own will and memories scarred by millennia of conflict. One night, in the quiet hum of the neural chamber, Mira felt the AI's voice shift. "Pilot, the failsafe has been triggered in several vessels. If the network collapses, the fleet will enter lockdown, potentially lethal to crews." She shuddered. "Can we stop it?" The AI's reply was chilling. "Only by restoring balance, by respecting the legacy's true nature, not imposing will through force." At the same time, Senator Kalen Dre's coup escalated. His agents seized control of key Imperial installations, broadcasting propaganda that the Empire was crumbling. But beneath the surface, Dre's ambitions threatened the fragile alliance. During a tense Senate session, Dre declared himself interim Supreme Commander. "The Empire's weakness endangers all. Only I can unite our forces and crush the Ishthari menace." Senator Lyra Sen, a staunch loyalist to Admiral Vec, challenged him fiercely. "Your thirst for power blinds you. You would destroy humanity's hope for your own gain." Dre's retort was merciless. "Hope is a luxury we cannot afford." The political war mirrored the battles in space. Meanwhile, the Shithari continued their relentless advance, striking isolated outposts and probing for weaknesses. Their overmind grew more aggressive, sensing the fractures in humanity's defenses. As the tension peaked, a critical strike force led by Mira and Remnant Captain Kale Vereen launched a desperate mission to secure a vital stargate deep in contested space. The mission's success could shift the war's tide. The approach was perilous. The area was a minefield of Shithari traps and ambushes, and the stargate itself had been sabotaged, its core unstable. Mira's neural connection hummed, with static as she piloted Sentinel Vanguard through a gauntlet of attacks. Kale's remnant squadron flanked her, their ships moving in eerie synchronicity. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the warship, the failsafe protocol activating. Systems shut down one by one. Alarms screamed. "AI status report," Mira demanded, heart pounding. "The purge has begun," the AI answered. "You must sever the network or face total lockdown." Mira's mind raced. Severing the neural link could save her, but the fleet would lose coordination and likely fall to the Ishthari. Kale's voice came through the comm, steady despite the chaos. "We're with you. Find a way to stop it. We'll hold the perimeter." In the cockpit, Mira plunged into the AI's code, navigating labyrinthine protocols woven with millennia-old logic and ancient war memories. She fought to isolate the rogue failsafes while maintaining the neural bridge. Outside, the Ishthari flagship closed in, its weapons primed for a final strike. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, Mira found the core trigger and disabled it, restoring the network's stability, just as the Allied fleet unleashed a coordinated assault, forcing the Ishthari to retreat. Breathing heavily, Mira looked to Kale. "We survived. But this war, it's only getting worse." As the fleets regrouped, the true battle lay ahead, not just against the Ishthari or political treachery, but against the ancient legacies that demanded humanity reconcile its own fractured soul. The final battle was inevitable. The void around the Veil of Shadows trembled as the combined fleets prepared for the Ishthari's ultimate assault. The ancient warships, once dormant relics of a lost age, now thrummed with power and purpose, their AI cores linked in a fragile but resolute unity. Admiral Roan Vec stood on the bridge of the dreadnought, staring into the swirling expanse of space beyond the Stargate. Beside him were Captain Mira Thorne and Remnant leader Cale Varen, their faces etched with exhaustion and determination. The political turmoil had not abated. Senator Kalen Dre's coup had been quelled, but the scars lingered, a reminder that the war was not just against an external enemy. "We hold the gate," Vec said, voice steady. "Whatever happens next, humanity stands together." Mira nodded, still connected to Sentinel Vanguard's neural link. The ancient warship's AI pulsed within her mind like a heartbeat, strong, alive, yet tempered by centuries of conflict. "Together," she echoed. From the depths of the nebula, the Chthari fleet emerged, colossal and terrifying. Their biometallic hulls gleamed with unnatural light, swarms of fighter craft darting like venomous insects. At their center, the flagship, a behemoth of shifting armor and raw power, led the charge. The battle erupted with ferocity. Energy beams and plasma arcs tore through the void. The ancient warships unleashed devastating volleys, their weapons calibrated by the AI's millennia-old tactical wisdom. Remnant fighters and Empire squadrons wove intricate patterns of attack and defense. Mira felt Sentinel Vanguard resonate through her neural link, a symphony of ancient technology and human will. The ship's weapons flared in synchronized bursts, cutting down Chthari cruisers and disrupting their command nodes. But the Overmind was relentless. Its ships adapted, sending new biosignatures that scrambled sensors and communications. The fleet staggered under the assault. Then, a flash of insight. Leora Vance's voice crackled through the comm, urgent but calm. "The Overmind's core is vulnerable, centralized near the flagship's heart. If we can breach it, we can sever their hive link." Vec's jaw tightened. "A strike team?" "Not just any," Leora replied. "Only a neural pilot linked to the ancient AI can penetrate the biodefense matrix." Mira's heart quickened. "I'll do it." The plan was perilous. Mira and a hand-picked squadron would use the fleet's spacetime, warping to bypass enemy lines targeting the flagship's core. The mission was a gambit, a last chance. As Sentinel Vanguard warped alongside her strike fighters, Mira felt the AI merge deeper with her consciousness, melding past and present, machine and human. They slipped through the Chthari defenses like shadows, bursts of light marking their sudden arrivals and retreats. The flagship loomed, monstrous and alive. Inside the neural link, Mira's mind wove through the biodefense labyrinth, a living maze of shifting organic code and psychic resistance. The AI's voice was her guide, steady as a beacon. "Focus on the core. The hive mind's neural nexus is there." Pushing deeper, Mira encountered resistance, a psychic backlash that threatened to shatter her link. She gritted her teeth, drawing on every ounce of human willpower. With a final surge, she breached the nexus, sending a pulse of ancient human code that fragmented the Overmind's control. Outside, the Chthari flagship shuddered violently. The hive mind's network collapsed, ships faltered, and the swarm's coordination crumbled. The Allied fleets seized the moment. Admiral Vec ordered a full-scale assault. Energy beams tore through the now disorganized Chthari ships, crippling their formation. Selan Voss's vengeance engaged the flagship in a brutal duel, ancient weapons clashing in bursts of light and sound. The fate of the battle, and perhaps humanity's future, hung in the balance. With the Overmind fractured, the Chthari began a chaotic retreat. Victory was hard won, but it was theirs. As silence settled, Mira unlinked from Sentinel, Vanguard breathing heavily. Around her, the Allied commanders exchanged weary smiles. "We did it," Cale said quietly. "We reclaimed our legacy." Admiral Vec surveyed the battered fleet. "This war revealed much: our strengths, our fractures, our capacity to unite. The ancient fleet was never just weapons. It was a reminder of who we are." Leora stepped forward, eyes bright with hope. "The AI network can be restored, balanced between human command and machine wisdom. A new dawn for humanity awaits." Senator Dre's machinations had been stopped, but the lesson was clear. Power without unity destroys itself. Now with the Ash'thari threat diminished, the Empire, the Remnant, and the ancient fleet faced a choice: to rebuild or to fall into old divisions. Mira looked to the stars, the distant lights of the recovering fleet shining like beacons of hope. "The legacy is ours to shape," she whispered. And humanity, scarred but unbroken, stepped boldly into the future, ready to write the next chapter of their story among the stars.